reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network. MMO Reporter's PAX Prime coverage is brought to you by GoDaddy. Use the coupon code MMOReporter199 to get your next domain for only $1.99. Hi everybody, Chris here from MMO Reporter, and we are rounding out our time visiting with Tryon Worlds here at PAX. We're going to talk about ArcheAge. Can you introduce yourself and let us know your role on the team, please?
Sure. My name is Victoria Voss, and I'm the lead producer for ArcheAge here at Tryon Worlds.
Well, you're going to take us through the world, show us a few different parts. So let's cut to that right now, because I'm really excited. I really want to see it.
It's a lot of fun.
So let's go there now.
Welcome to ArcheAge. ArcheAge is a game that we are bringing from XL Games in Korea, and Tryon Worlds is publishing this game here in the West. So we're doing all of the localization in the game. It will be available in English, French, and German. And we are going to be showing you some of the game. There is so much involved with this game that we can really just barely sort of skim the surface here. So this will give you an idea of the different things that you can start to see in the game. A little bit of the history and the lore of the game. The main world has 3 major continents. The continent of Aurora is the most northern continent, and all of the races at one point had their home here. This is where a lot of them live. Not all of the races actually came from here, but they're all living in this area. And there was 12 explorers who found the Garden of Life. Unfortunately, the Garden of Life turned them all into gods and heroes, which meant that they were human beings with superpowers, and what all humans do in stories and myth is they turn on each other. They ended up destroying Aurora pretty much, and making it uninhabitable. And so all of the residents of Aurora moved down to the 2 southern continents. And they either went to the continent of Nuia, or they ended up on the continent of Harania. And it depends on which race you choose, which continent you start on. The 2 continents are roughly divided as 2 factions. So it gives you a little bit of a way to start with the PvP. The world itself is open world PvP. There's a lot of sandbox elements to it, which makes it a really, really fun game. There's the Nuians and the Elves to start with on the continent of Nuia, and the Firin and the Hrani on the continent of Harania. Now, when you're creating your character, there's a ton of different detail that you can have. There's 1,000,001 sliders. I don't know if it's 1,000,001. I haven't actually counted, but there's a ton of them that you can do neat, fun little things with your character. There's a lot of little detail that you can implement. You can also put scars on your character, and you can move them around and make them bigger and smaller, which is something that you don't see very often, which we actually really like. Turn them around so he's got a scar on one side of his face, or however you'd like to set up your character. Once you've selected your character, you pick your first skill set. Now there's actually 3 skill sets that you end up selecting, starting at level 1, again at 5, and again at 10. And the combination of those skill sets is what defines your class. So for instance, this particular guy is built as a ranger, which is one of my favorite skill sets. There's a little bit of melee with the shadow play, a little bit of archery, and a little bit of vitalism, which is one of the main healing skill sets. Now, you don't have enough points to get all of the skills and all of the sets, so you further customize the way that you want to play, whether you want to lean more towards one or the other, or an even balance between all 3. It's up to you and how you want to play. Each combination of 3 different skill sets has its own unique name. So there is 120 different combinations, and then an infinite variety when you count all of the different skills and the different variety of skills that you can have. When you enter the world, you are given an option to do a series of quests. These quests will tell you a little bit about where you are in the world, why you're here, as well as introduce you to the sandbox elements of the game. The sandbox components, you'll start seeing a lot more as you move further into the game. This area that we're in right now is in Tiger Spine Mountains, and it's one of the first areas where players get to access a public farm and to actually plant their own plants, gather their own resources, and learn why that's really important. The resources that are all gathered are actually used to make food as well as drink and potions, but you're also going to use it to make houses and farms. So over here, all of these houses and farms are player built, and it's apparently a very busy point at this time in alpha. We are actually on the Omega server in the alpha environment right now. So everything you see here is all player built. We have planted nothing. This is all there without our help, which is pretty sweet. All of these plants are harvested mainly for building trade packs. We've got some trees that folks will go ahead and harvest for lumber to make boats and homes. And we've got a number of different mounts available in the game. And the reason I'm bringing it up right now is because of these little guys over here, these polar bears. You can, once they've grown up, breed the bears, and you can get a mount out of the bears that you've bred. The mount's very cute. It picks you up, stands up on its hind legs, and runs away with you. It's very, very cute. This Yata,
I don't think I've seen a mount like that in a game before.
Yeah, we saw it first, and it was just like, oh, this is awesome. We have to have that. This mount that I'm currently on it's called a Yata. And this particular breed of Yata is also only available through breeding. So somebody got a male Yata, female Yata, made a baby Yata, made a Palomino, which are all pretty cool. The mounts themselves, you'll see some mounts running around, and you notice when I called him, he was separate from me. He's actually a separate entity in the world. And he has his own stats, his own level, and I can put gear on him as well. And so, for instance, I have a horse, which is hiding from me, who has gear on him, and you can see what the gear looks like on the horse. So he doesn't normally have to have that gear on him. I can take it off, put it back on. Put it back on from the inventory. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, where'd my mount go? The leggings will make him a little bit faster. The armor gives him a little bit more defense, better hit points. And so you can run around on a naked mount, if you would like, or you can run around on a mount that is a little better geared, a little less likely to die. That's really important because some of the mounts have combat skills. So this little guy has the ability to do melee damage when you have when you're riding him. If you're not riding him, he's not actually going to do very much because he's a mount, not a battle pet. And he will sort of sit there and take hits as other people hit him. So more armor is a good thing because then he survives a lot longer.
Yeah, it's so nice to see something more than just sort of cosmetic flares that you can put on a mount, something that actually does make a cosmetic difference, but also is an actual benefit in game.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
And the different armors look different on the different mounts, which maybe we'll have a donkey ride by, which will be very cool. That's a Leomorph that somebody's running past on, for instance. We've got a lot of different mounts in the game, and there's more coming out, which is really very cool.
That's really scary for a mount collector like me.
Yeah, the really fun part is that some of these mounts are only available at specific locations, and so you're actually going to have to go into enemy territory to be able to buy the mount. You can buy the mount no matter what your faction.
Okay.
So as long as you get there safely, you can get the mount.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. But it's all about getting there safely.
Well, that is the trick. That is rather the trick. So we're now in a housing arena, or housing area that is actually in a PvP zone. And I'm going to turn off my UI because it's prettier. Since I don't actually have to drive, Amanda's very kindly going to shepherd us around for this little part. This, as I mentioned, this is all in a PvP zone. So it's been really, really interesting because the community here has sort of banded together and created their own neighborhood watch. If somebody is new to the area that shouldn't be there, or they catch someone stealing somebody else's crops, they'll actually announce it and make a big fuss about it. And so everybody knows that, either hide if you don't want to get into PvP, or go find them and kill them. Either way works just as well.
And so it doesn't sound like the PvP is faction locked, right? Can people of the same faction PvP against each other?
Sure. So there is a thing called Bloodlust that you can turn on. When you turn Bloodlust on yourself, that allows you to attack your own faction. And they can attack you back. So one of the tricks, though, is if you attack your own faction, then you leave little a blood spatter in the world, and someone can come up and report you for killing your own faction, and then you get crime points.
we talked about this on the show with the jury, right?
Yeah.
And wasn't it true that some of the juries were finding that there were some bribes going on to?
There may have been. There may have been a bribe or three that has happened. Some were even successfully paid. Not all of them were successfully paid, I will point out. Reputation matters a lot in this game.
Yeah.
And we found it's really been interesting with the jury. We have some folks, there's even a pirate. And to become a pirate faction, you have to have done so much crime and have such a high crime point that effectively your own faction kicks you out.
Yeah.
So here's a pirate, known, obviously, has to be, oh, I don't have the UI on, has to be particularly bad. But
Yeah.
because they're known as being a player killer, every time they go up on trial now, everybody lets them off. We love you. We don't care how many people you killed. Get off. You're free. You kill player killers. We're all good. So that is actually the glider that you will get from the codes. If folks are here at PAX, you'll get that pretty purple glider. I'm going to make sure I have the other one equipped. I do. Okay, cool. Now we're here at a castle. The castles really are sort of the guild level construction project. I'm not calling it a house because it's not really a house itself. It doesn't have all of the elements that a normal house does, where you have some farming land, you have a hearth that you can portal to. But what it does have is defense. And you need a lot of defense because the way that the castles work is that you claim the Archeum lodestone here in the middle. And if you think of it like a game of capture the flag, during a siege, that's the flag. You've got to catch it. But the reason you want to own a castle, apart from, dude, I own a castle, because that's pretty awesome, is that all of these farms and houses that are over here will pay extra taxes. And the extra taxes go to the owner of the castle. So it's a very good way to get very rich. And once you have all of that money, of course, you can buy additional resources from people on the market, which can make things easier for you to build your boats and your houses and pretty much take over the world. But periodically, your castle goes under siege. I'm going to pause quickly here and admire this pretty glider. This glider is actually the glider that we are including in the Archeum Founders Packs and the Gold Founders Packs. It's the first time we're actually showing it in-game, is here at PAX.
Wow.
It's very pretty. We were very, very happy when they said, we could put a gloss look on that. We're like, yes! Totally do that. It's got some neat somersaults to it as well, which are fun to show off. And I love the bomber strafes. You can like fire stuff at them and everything else.
Wow.
The stats actually match one of the stats that you can get on the marketplace as well as in the game. So stat-wise, they're not a major improvement, but oh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
So the castles themselves here, now that I have totally gone away from the castle, is, you know, when you go into a siege, an item goes on the marketplace, and you can you summon me back? So I don't have to run. The item goes on the market or onto the auction house, and you pay in-game gold to win the auction house. Win the item. If you win the item, you have the opportunity to siege that castle. It's completely up to you if you choose to siege the castle or not. So if you're a friendly guild, or if you're a particularly mercenary guild, maybe you go up to the person who owns the castle and say, hey, maybe if you give me 1,000 gold, I won't steal your castle. It's totally up to you and however you want to handle it. If you do siege the castle, here we are on a different castle. So you can see the variety of some of the different castles. If you do choose to siege the castle, then you have some time to build up your forces. You can only bring in a limited number of folks from your guild. And the countdown starts. You get ready and you siege the castle. The goal is to capture the flag in the middle, as I mentioned. But some of the tricks include the fact that you have to do damage to the sword, and then you have a 5-minute channel to actually take over the sword. So in order to do that, you have to take the gate of the castle down, because that makes the sword invulnerable. And then there's the delicate balance. The more walls that are up, the harder it is to take over the sword. the more damage you have to do to it. However, if you do succeed in the siege, you get the castle as is, with all of the damage that you did to it. So somewhere in there is a balancing act of what you actually want to do for taking down the castle and what you want to leave up. A lot of the castles that are built, we're seeing, have these sort of traps where people with gliders can accidentally miss and end up not actually landing anywhere that is useful and being stuck.
And are there siege weapons, or?
There are. We have catapults, trebuchets, rams, and a bunch of different items that you can go ahead and use. Oops. And I'm not very good at gliding and talking at the same time, apparently.
Huh.
But the landing is a lot of fun. Here we go. He's back up. Yeah, so there's a lot of resources that are available, that are needed for these castles. Each one of these pieces of the wall section, each one of these guard towers, or the towers with the cannons, is a separate section that you have to actually go ahead and build. And those take a fair amount of resources. The resources you can grow here, if you are brave enough. Aurora is a fully open world PvP area, so anyone can attack anyone. So if your opposing guild learns that maybe you have a nice farm here, then they may take your resources, and they may also kill you as you try to tend the farm. It's a bit of a balancing act. Most people will go ahead and make resources on the southern continents, where it's slightly safer. It's not incredibly safer. And this is the fun timing of, can I land on the boat? The answer is no.
So close. So close.
I get it about, every other time. So the boats are one of the key ways that you can go ahead and take resources from one location to another. They're the only way to take resources effectively across large ocean water. You can swim with your donkey all the way from Nuya to Aurora if you really, really want to, and are really, really brave. You're not likely to get killed by ships because they can't see you because you're tiny, but there's a lot of sea bugs, and there's the Kraken to worry about that will have you for lunch at that point. So this particular boat is one of our higher end boats. It is the DPS boat in the game. If you want to do a lot of damage with a boat, this is the one to have. Most of the boats that you can get are created by, you just get the design, put the appropriate resources on it, launch the boat, you have a boat. This particular one is a lot harder to get. You have to actually quest and collect a lot of different items to build the boat. We still have seen a few of them on Alpha and Omega and on Beta, so it's been pretty cool. And we're going by the jail here. Remember I talked about how if you kill your own faction, you can be reported. Well, if you get reported enough, you end up on trial. If you end up on trial, you can end up in jail. If you are from the Haranian continent, you'll be over here. You can escape if you want to try. The debuff is on you, though, so you don't get to escape your sentence. But it's sort of fun to try to get out of jail. It's not 100% possible. I mean, it's possible. It sometimes takes people a few tries.
And is it a fighting thing, or is it a stealth thing, or is it a mini game, or how do you escape from jail?
It's closer to a mini game. You've got to get on the right location with the right item. There's different things within the jail that you can get that make it easier for you to go ahead and escape. Some things that are required, you've got to get a key to open the door, to go up to the top of the tower, to be able to glide her off the tower, for instance. So it is a bit of a mini game. You can also play soccer in jail if you're bored. It's up to you.
And I watched a couple of streams a couple of weeks ago, it must have been, of a large-scale naval combat PvP, and that was quite wonderfully chaotic.
Yes.
to put a point on it. Yeah, it's is it something that a player can choose one aspect of the game, because it is so sandbox that they can choose one aspect of the game and that can be their entire experience?
Yeah. So you gain XP from doing, I would say, almost anything in this game. We just recently added the ability to gain XP from killing other players if you're in a zone that's in a state of war. So if you want to focus on one area and completely ignore the rest of it, you can completely do that.
Wow. And I'm not someone who is very PvP, oriented. That's not sort of my thing. I really like going through doing the dungeons and
Right.
raids and sort of the PvE experience.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a viable gameplay strategy as well in the game?
Sure. So there are dungeons on both continents that are available. There's open world and other raids that are a little bit harder to get into, that are limited, like 10-man raids. So you have those options here in the game. One of the things that I find is really, really cool about ArcheAge is that living in a dangerous world. Because it is a PvP game, you get a lot of emergent gameplay where folks help each other out in a way that just doesn't happen in a PvE game. They're trying to be nice to each other, even though it's PvE stuff and they're just like running a trade pack or on a farm. They're there to, you know, I got your back. It's all cool, you know, and it's really sort of neat and how that all interplays.
And is there, for example, you talked about trading in game and stuff like that. Could I make a living becoming a merchant sailor and taking cargo from one place to the other?
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm trying to think of scenarios in the game. I'm looking for that. Oh, you know, no, but so far you're getting everything. Yep, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that.
Pretty much. If you want to be an underwater farmer, for instance, you can do that. I'm pretty sure that there might be a way to do underwater basket weaving if you really wanted to.
That's what we've all been waiting for.
That's what we always wanted, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, for instance, this house here is one of our beach houses, and they're a little difficult to get in the game because they come with an aqua farm underneath. So this person here is actually farming coral and oysters. Wow. You can take those items, the items you gain from those, sell them on the auction house. They tend to be used in some of the higher end crafting, so aqua farms are very, very useful. Wow. They're a little expensive to get, so when you get a house that comes with a free one, it's worth it. So we've just sort of barely touched on all of the different aspects of the game. There's so much to do in ArcheAge. I mean, as you mentioned, there's very, very little that you can say, I want to do this, and you can't do it. Wow. I mean, you can raise your mount, run dungeons with a battle pet, farm all day if you want to farm, be known as the best, you know, alchemist on the server, make amazing armor, do all sorts of different things depending on what you want to do, or just run around and admire the scenery.
Wow. I tried really hard to find something that I would ask you if we could do it in game and make that sort of my life in game. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find everything from you know, being a farmer to being an undersea basket weaver. I think we brought up. That must be something that is an incredible challenge when you try to talk about the game and get out to the community. So how are you dealing with that as you are, you know, and we'll talk about it in a minute, as you are getting close to launch? How are you dealing with that challenge?
In small snippets. So we try to break things down so that we're really focusing on different things at different times, because there is so much to do in the game. There's all kinds of different players, all kinds of different ways to play the game, that if we try to talk about it all at once, we would be here for hours. Yeah. So yeah, we just try to, we'll hit the surface and, you know, just like we did in the demo, and then delve into the different areas as folks are interested, because there's so much there.
So when you go home and you're not testing anything, you're not working on anything specific, what do you like to do in ArcheAge?
So my main character actually is a farmer. I really enjoy, I log in, I will farm, run trade runs, and put stuff up on the auction house. I often will check the auction house to see, okay, what's the hot thing now that I should be growing and making sure that I have, and that's really what I love to do.
That's something that I know a lot of my friends who have gone through and are amazing crafters and like to look at that sort of side of things would absolutely love to do. Oh, yeah. Now, we are getting close to launch. Can you help us out a little bit? I know we'll just keep it between us. We'll just keep it between us. This won't. When are we looking at launching ArcheAge?
So we're going to be launching ArcheAge on September 16th this year. Wow. If you've purchased a Founders Pack, you can start playing on September 12th, which should be really fun.
That's really soon.
Yes.
That must be very exciting.
It is absolutely thrilling, and we've got one more beta event for folks who haven't had a chance yet to try out the game. We have our open beta that starts next week, Thursday, on September 4th.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for showing us the game. I'm really excited about it. There's just so much in there that appeals to so many different types of players. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this. It's been wonderful.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOreporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.